Hey there, it's your instructor, Betty Boyer. I thought I would do some videos to help you all with the independent projects. I'm not going to do them for the guided projects because there's already enough screenshot help and things like that to guide you through. But the independent, especially when we get into some later chapters of Excel and such, it might get a little bit complicated. So I thought I would help you guys out. I'll be honest, as I've gone through SimNet, there's features that are covered in these projects that I have never done myself. And I'm doing these videos pretty well cold. So just you can just follow along with me. If I run into something I don't know, I'll show you exactly how I figured out how to do it. Because one of my goals for this course is not just that you learn exactly the features and the skills that we teach, but also how to learn after you leave the class. You might be presenting something in a work environment or for another class or something that you just don't know how to do. And so, what are you going to do? Yes, there's resources on campus you can still access, but you can also find a lot by Googling and knowing what a reputable source is and things like that. So, along the way, I'm sure we're going to run into some things like that. This first project is pretty easy, but I will tell you it took me more than one try to get it at 100% because I made a couple of mistakes, and I'm going to talk to you at the end about, well, actually, I can probably go ahead and cover how I fix those. I want to cover a little bit about what you see when you very first open one of these projects. Now, to get here, you've already gone through a guided project, so you probably have learned some of these things already. But just to make sure that you're aware, I want to point out some things. Number one, the very first time you did a project, it should have made you anyway agree with the best practices or acknowledge that you saw them. These are really good things to read. You definitely want to read these best practices. It's some good advice on how not to lose points on your assignments. And I'll talk to you a lot about if you're working on a Mac, what to expect on a Windows machine, how to save your projects, about submitting for grading. This is a good read. So I would absolutely take the time to go through this. If you didn't for the guided project, definitely do it now. Of course, you do have your instructions. Above that is the files that you will need for the project. For these first couple, all you'll need is the start file, so it's pretty easy. Down the road, especially with PowerPoint and possibly with Excel, you will have perhaps some graphic files or other things that you're going to need to download. And so you can download those one by clicking on them, or you can also use the file download wizard, which is going to automatically download every file that you need in order to complete that project. So that's kind of what you see over here to the left. In the middle is where you can upload your file when you're done. And you're actually going to be working on this. You can have the directions. I recommend print them out. They do print out kind of small, so you just want to be aware of that. If you have two monitors, great. You can put the directions up on one monitor. If you know how to split your screen, you can do that. You can always go to campus where I think there might be computers available that may have more than one monitor. I'm not sure, but otherwise print them out and that kind of thing. And then there is a spot over here to the right where you can, I'm going to draw a little box around this. There's some options here where you can have the directions read to you. You can print them or download them, but you can also increase the font. So let me go turn the screen draw off again. And you can see that that will increase your font. And for me, it also increased it when I printed them. So that may depend on some printer settings. I'm not sure, but at any rate, you can make these a little bit bigger. And then you can also reduce the font too if you want. So you can upload your file. This is good if you're starting maybe at school, you're starting on a project, and then you want to finish it at home rather than saving it to a hard flash drive or something. You can upload it right here and not have it graded, and then you can retrieve that file and start to work on it again. You do want to be very careful with these files. There is an integrity checker built in that when you download the file, it automatically puts your name to it. It knows if it's you working on it or if it's somebody else. So you really can't, and this happened to me one time. I'm trying to think of exactly when I got that integrity pop up. At any rate, I started on it one way, and then when I went to pull it, and do it again, I don't know, it flagged me with an integrity marker. So it's a little pop-up that shows, and it just says, hey, basically, it won't make much sense to you, so you'll contact me, and that's fine, then I can explain it. But if you have had given your file to someone else and have them try to upload it for you or complete it, it will flag that. So you definitely want to be doing your own work in this class. So at any rate, but you can upload your file here, and then you can choose whether to go ahead and have it graded or whether you want to have it graded later. Now, back over here to the left, I do want to show you this previous attempts. You do get 5 attempts at these exercises at the outset. So if you do miss a point or two, or if you miss a bunch of points, you can go back and try it again. The best practices say that if you got less than a 70%, you may want to start completely over. And I can understand why that can happen, because it's easy to kind of get tangled up in steps if you're starting in the middle, starting with one that you've already submitted and then just trying to correct it. You can undo some things along the way that are going to cause you to lose different points, and it gets a little frustrating. And honestly, that's what happened to me. So you can see with this particular exercise, I tried it 4 different times before I finally got 100% over here. So I started off getting 93. Then when I went and tried to correct my file, I actually ended up with an 82. So I did worse. And it all came into the spacing that I'll kind of highlight as we go through with this line spacing. Then the next time I kind of screwed up again, but I got a 91. And then finally I was able to correct, and I got 100%. I will tell you that when you do this and you go back through, you get a really nice report that pretty much tells you exactly what you did wrong. So I'm going to click on this attempt 1 and show you once you submit it, kind of what it tells you. Now, first of all, this depiction over here, this document, is not what you submitted. This is the solution document that just highlights kind of where you went right or wrong in the document. And it gives you a little legend up here that here it's saying like gray is correct, I guess. I think usually green is correct, blue is partial, and then red is incorrect. So I missed something up here. Step 3B, it tells you exactly where in the instructions you went wrong. Blue is partially correct. You've got some of it right, but not all of it, and that kind of thing. But then you can go here, you'll get a little list, and it tells you, okay, I got 2 out of the 3 points there. I got 2.5 out of 3 here. But you can click this little caret right here, and it will tell you exactly what you got right and what you got wrong. Green is good. Okay, no problem. Here, red, I made a mistake. I was supposed to change the after paragraph spacing to 6 points. It says that the paragraph that starts with the text, John and Robin, so this paragraph right over here, has after spacing that is set to 0 instead of 6. It tells you exactly what you did. So in most cases, you should be able to go back into your document and easily correct it. Now you want to remember, I don't know if you can download, I think you can download your student result. I'm going to go look at that. I'm pretty sure you can, to correct it there and re-upload it. Or you can, if you still have the document that you originally submitted, either in your download file or you saved it somewhere else, you can go ahead and use that one and resubmit it. And then here I also, oh, see, I got that one right. So then I missed a half a point here. And so I'm looking for the blue. Here's the blue where I got it partially right. So these, I just did not have the correct line spacing. So the paragraph that starts with education and training has after spacing that's set to 6 instead of 3. That line spacing is a little tricky. And that's where, if you go in to just correct your document, that's where I went wrong, because I changed some things that I shouldn't have changed when you went in. So you always, always, always want to double check. But you do get 5 attempts. So, and in this case, by the time I demonstrate how to do this exercise, I will basically have used my 5 attempts. And who knows, I could still make a mistake on this 5th attempt. Your highest attempt is the score that's taken. So if you got 100%, number one, why would you want to do it again? But like in my case, I am, just to show y'all, if I get less, the 100% is what's going to go on the grade. Now, if especially in the beginning, you get a little turned around and you jack something up and you end up using all 5 attempts, or something happened, maybe at a power outage or whatever, and it's your 5th attempt and you're wanting to go in and change something, just contact me and I can delete attempts for you and let you take another crack at it, but only while the assignment is open. I will not do that once the assignment has closed, just so you know. Okay, so right here up to the right, it says download your submitted file. So that's where you can get what you actually submitted and make any corrections, and then you can resubmit once you go back up into, I think I'm going to use the back button up here to get back where I was. Yep, so here I am. If I have attempts left, now I can upload my file and see what grade I get at that point. So that's kind of how it goes. Okay, so for right now, here's our instructions. It gives you the skills covered in this project, fine. And then if you're doing this on your computer, this little yellow highlight will follow you. As you check and complete a step, see how it'll move down for you and help you keep track kind of where you are. So you can keep these directions open while you're working on your assignment. So one of the first things you're going to want to do is to download your start file. This is going to depend where it goes and what it looks like. It's going to depend on what browser you use. I use Microsoft Edge. Many of you probably use Chrome. I think if you use Chrome, your download files might show up down here in the lower left. I'm not 100% sure. I don't use Chrome. So, but when you click on the start file in Edge, it comes up to the upper right. And you can see here that, see how that got named Betty Boyer Brochure 01. And it's a later version. You don't have to worry. You don't want to be changing these document names. Just leave it as it is. It's fine, and resubmit it. You can leave it in your downloads folder if you want while you're working on it, or you can save it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open it. So you just click on it, and you do want to make sure you have the Microsoft desktop apps. Hopefully you've already learned that by doing the guided project. And then here is your starter document. This is what it looks like. Okay, now the first thing really, it's in your downloads folder, so you're okay. But if you're wanting to carry this file with you and download it to a flash drive or something, then you want to go up here to File and do a Save As, and you want to save as wherever you want to save it to. So click on Browse, and it's going to bring up all your libraries over here. If you have a flash drive, it'll show over here, and then you can save it, wherever you want. I typically will just, if I'm working on it at home or on the same computer on my laptop or whatever, I will just leave it where it is. We can click this little back arrow, get right back to it. I'll just leave it where it is and it'll be fine. Okay, so for now, I'm going to move my directions over to my other monitor. Like I said, and I have them printed out in front of me as well. But this way, I'm sorry, you're seeing teacher version here of SimNet. Okay, so here's my document right here. So now we're going to kind of get into the meat and potatoes, and you're not going to be able to see my directions, but I'm going to go through them as I do this assignment. Okay, so the first says open the file. Great. Okay, so we got it. You might get a protected view, which is a little yellow bar that shows up here. You might see that more in Excel. I'm not sure, but there will be a little button that says enable editing. Just click on that. There is a way to go in behind the scenes and change that setting. If it really bugs you, you can give me a call. I can kind of talk you through. We can do a real quick Google Meet, and I'll show you how to change that setting. It's a security setting, so it's up to you if you want to change it or not. But these documents are safe. They come from a safe place, so you can always click enable editing. Okay, so the file name is automatically changed to include your name. You can see that up here. It says Betty Boyer Brochure, as I pointed out. So you don't have to change the project file name if you don't want to. That's fine. I recommend not. Just leave it be. Okay, so now the next thing we want to do, this is really where we're getting into the assignment directions. It says to select the entire document and apply the following formatting changes. Now, when you get in here, a nice way, you can start up here at the top and click and scroll the entire document. If you're doing the entire one, it's not that hard. It's actually pretty easy. Or the keyboard shortcut for that is to hold down the Control key and click on A. All of the keyboard shortcuts I'm giving you are Windows. They are not Mac oriented. Now, when you go in, you might have noticed when you go into the directions, the directions will note it knows automatically if you're on a Windows machine or on a Mac machine, and your directions will adjust on these. Now, when you're doing Let Me Tries and the final exam, that's done in a simulated environment. You don't have to have any software or anything for it, and that is always Windows based. So I would try to do as much of this in Windows as you can so that you know how to do it when you get to the final exam and on the Let Me Tries. But otherwise, you can use your Mac, but you're just going to be going back and forth a little bit. I just want to let you know. Okay, so we have our whole document selected. And so the next thing we're supposed to do is change the font and font size to Cambria 10 point. So that's going to be up here in the font group. A little geography. This is called a ribbon up here. It's called your ribbon. Within the ribbon, you have tabs, which is file, home, insert, draw, design, blah, blah, blah. Then you have groups. So, and they'll change, and you can customize any of this if you want to go in and play with it. It's all behind the scenes under the file tab. And I always say point, click, and explore, but you can customize what you see here. Otherwise, these are most frequently used according to Microsoft. So you have clipboard, font, paragraph, styles, yada, yada. Those are groups. Within the groups, you have commands like bold, italic, underline, whatever. These are all called commands. So we're going to choose our font is going to be Cambria. Okay, so you can go down here. I don't know if I click, see, nope. Sometimes if you click, it'll take you to that section of the alphabet and the fonts. I have a lot of added fonts on here that honestly I was just playing with over time, and I don't even use the majority of these. But so find Cambria or Cambria, however you pronounce it. Click that, and then you also want to change the font size to 10. You can do that by choosing it, or you can type it in. So now we've got our font size changed. Okay, and now it says to change the after paragraph spacing to 6 point. Okay, there's a couple of things. This is a little shortcut command to paragraph spacing. See how it says line and paragraph spacing? For here, you can choose if you want it single spaced, 1.5, whatever. You can get to line spacing options. You can automatically add a space or remove a space. Be careful because you don't get to denote what the exact spacing is here. If you go into line spacing options, then you get those. We get the spacing before and after where we can make it exact. So it wants us to change the after spacing to a 6. And again, you can just type it in, or you can choose it from the little up and down arrows. Sometimes I think it's just easier to type it in. Okay, and then you always want to make sure you're clicking OK down here. And let's make sure we see, yep, a little jump in our document. Okay, now we're going to change the line spacing to single. So I'm back over here choosing my whole document. Now I can go into here and choose the 1.0, that's single. Or if I go into my line spacing options, I can do line spacing single right there. Okay, and click OK. Either way, there or choose 1.0 there is going to be the same, doesn't matter. Okay, so now we're going to apply formatting, it says, to the open lines. So I'm going to click off to deselect my whole document because I'm not working with my whole document anymore. I just want to select the first 5 lines from Emma Cavalli through her email address. So we're going to put our cursor at the beginning, and you can tell I have slight vision issues. I use computer glasses, so my cursor is really big. I don't want to have to fight for it. So, and we're going to go right to the end here. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the end of her email address, and it wants us to change the after paragraph spacing now to 2. Okay, know that that doesn't mean this is double spaced. It is not. You want to go to your line spacing options, and your after spacing here is going to be 2. That means the white space in between each line, but it's not the same as the line spacing. Okay, it might be a little complicated, and I can't explain it any better than that, but that's what it is. So the after paragraph spacing to 2, that's what we did. And now we're going to click OK. See, and that all kind of jump together. So now we want to select the first 6 lines. So we're going to go down here to our website and then all the way up, and we're going to center these lines. So we can go up to the paragraph group on our ribbon on the home tab, paragraph group, and we can choose center right here. And it's going to automatically go to the middle. Okay, and then our next one is select the first line. So we just want her name. There are a lot of ways you can do this. You can, highlight like that. There's a little space over here in the, let me undo that, in the document where you can click, and it even gives you a little mini bar up here, you want to make sure you're getting the right line. And there's a little mini bar up here. But here, so here we're wanting to change the font size to 12, and I can do that from right here. Again, by typing it in. Font style to bold. And then the font color, which is here, see? The font color, we can go, it says the 10th color in the last row. So all the way over here, green accent, 6, darker 50%. So we want this color to be her name right there. And I can do that all from right here without having to move my mouse all the way up here. Okay, so we have all of those done. Yay. Now we're going to select the second line, Realtor Consultant. Right here, Realtor Consultant. We got our little mini bar. And we're going to apply bold formatting. And that's all it says to do. So we're just going to bold it. Select the third line. So we can come down a little bit more. And apply italic formatting to her little catchphrase there. Okay, now let's see, italic. Now we're going to apply formatting to a section heading and use the Format Painter. When I just do bold, when I click up here and I just do bold, it's only going to affect that one line. And as soon as I click anywhere else in the document, my italicize is off now. I would have to choose it again. Format Painter allows us to select several portions of the document and apply the same formatting. So the first thing we're going to do is select the first section heading, which it says is personal statement. We're going to apply bold, underline, and small caps. So now you're getting in a little deeper into the font. We can see bold. We can see, what was the other one I was supposed to do? Italics or, underline. But we don't see small caps here. So when you see these little arrows in the corners, that's going to give you more options. So we're going to go here. We're going to choose bold. We're going to do underline style, which is just a single underline. And then we're going to choose small caps formatting, which is right here. Small caps, you're going to check on that. And then you see a little example of it right here. So it's bolded, it's underlined, and it's in small caps. I'm going to say, okay. And then we're going to come up here to our format. This is our Format Painter. Okay, this little paintbrush in the clipboard group. So we're going to come up here. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, nope, we got to change the before spacing yet. So now we're going to change the before spacing to 12 and the after spacing to 3. So with this still highlighted, we're going to go into our line spacing options, which you can do here like we've done before and choose line spacing options. Or you can do here using the little arrow, just like we did in the font. And it's right here. So our before spacing needs to be 12. And our after spacing needs to be 3. And then we're going to say, okay. Okay, so now you can see it kind of jumped down a little bit, jumped up a little bit there. So now with all of this still highlighted, so we get all of that format, we're going to use our Format Painter. If I were to select the Format Painter just one time, it would give me one pass of the paintbrush. If I select it twice, I get multiple passes. So I'm going to double click on that. Okay, and then you see when I get into my text how it switched to a paintbrush. I'm on a paintbrush. So now I want to paint real estate experience. Okay, you see how it affected the spacing? Why I'm a real estate agent. See how I can keep going? What clients are saying. Professional credentials, which are right here. And education and training, which is right here. Okay. When I'm done, I can click on my Format Painter and my paintbrush now goes away. Okay, so we've got all of that done. Boom, boom. I'm checking it off on my list. Now we want to, let me do that one. Turn on Show Hide and combine the 4 sentences into one paragraph. Delete paragraph marks and insert spaces as needed. Okay, so up here in the paragraph group is this little Show Hide. It's this little backward P, kind of. If you put your cursor on it, it should say Show Hide. I'm not sure why it's not doing that. but we're going to click show hide. Okay, and you can see we get all these paragraph marks. We get our spaces in between or the little dots, all of that kind of thing. So it wants us to turn that on and combine the 4 sentences and why am I a real estate agent? So we're going back up here into one paragraph. So we're going to delete the paragraph marks and insert spaces as needed. The easiest way I do this is just go to the beginning and hit backspace and then put in a space, just one space after a period. Okay, and it tells you that in the best practices. It uses that format where it only does one space. Okay, so we have these sentences and we're going to combine those all into one paragraph. And that's all you have to do. But you have to see where the paragraph marks are. So then you just turn on that show hide. Okay, and then you should be able to turn this off. Okay. Now, just so you know, I'm on step 7 in the directions, 7A, which says select the second paragraph. It was a pleasure. Okay, so this is the second paragraph under what clients are saying. Change the after spacing to 0 point. So we got to go back up here again and change after to 0. And then we're going to say okay. Okay. And then select the source of the quote, which is Rod and Louisa right here, including the little hyphen. Okay. And it wants us to right align this text. Okay. So we can do that by going up here. And you can see and the paragraph group, we have alignment. This is align left, align center, and right align. So we're going to choose that, and it's going to pop it over here to this side. Okay. Then we're going to repeat the above 2 steps for the second quote. So we're going to start here with Emma, this whole quote, and we're going to apply, oh, did I do italics, that first one? I did not. Okay, so I have to go back up here and put the italics on there. Make sure you're checking these things out. Okay, and then apply italics here. I got 2 involved in the after spacing. And then select our after spacing to 0. Those 2 steps and click OK. And then we're going to do this and align right. Choose all of that and then align right. And I'm hoping I got that right. 0 point, 0 point. Now it wants to move the 3rd section heading and the paragraph below it, why am I a real estate agent? So it appears before the 2nd section, real estate experience. You can do this with a simple click and drag. You don't have to do a copy and paste. So we're going to do, why am I a real estate agent? So we're just going to take it and highlight it. And we want it to be in the 2nd section. So we're just going to drag it up right there. And there you go. Now it's the 2nd section. Okay, I'm going to undo and show you that again. So you just highlight it, and I just clicked anywhere in it and held down my left mouse button and then moved it up. See where my cursor's going? Wherever that cursor ends up, so I need to have it on the end of, or at the beginning of the paragraph I want to move it in front of, and then I just let go with my mouse and it goes right there. I could copy and paste too, but I just find this to be a little bit easier. And fortunately, it looks like my spacing all stayed the same. Okay, so now I want to select the lines of text in the professional credentials. Don't include the heading. Make sure you read these directions really carefully. So I want to just select these, but not the heading. And change the after paragraph spacing to a 3. This exercise is really hitting this spacing hard. Okay, and then click OK. So that's a 3. And then use the format painter to repeat the above formatting to the lines of text in education and training. So I'm going to go back to my format painter. Now I'm only doing one swipe, so really I only need to hit it once now. See how that paintbrush though is lit? But when I go up here and I do all of these lines of text, then see how my paintbrush disappears? I only clicked it once, so I just get one pass to the brush. If I need another one, I can go click it again, I want to make sure I have highlighted the formatting I'm wanting to copy. And then I can click it once or I can click it twice and I'll get multiple passes. Format Painter comes in very, very handy if you're in any kind of document and you got to format headings especially. Okay, so now it wants us to use the editor. This is on step 11 to correct the spelling and grammar issues in the document. So we are going to go right here to on the home tab still on our ribbon, and we're over here to the editor tab. Okay, it's kind of hard to see, so I'm put a little arrow right there for you. The editor tab. Okay. All right, so I'm going to click on that and it should open up. Here we go. The editor. So we've got, looks like 3 spelling errors and 4 grammar errors. So it says, let's see, we want to read what's below that. So A says, correct errors where necessary to ensure accurate grading. Ignore the resume suggestion for the word working. Click ignore once for each of the suggestions. Okay, so first we're going to look at spelling. So listening looks like it's spelled wrong, so we're going to check this one and it automatically corrects it. Extremely is spelled wrong, so you want to find the one you want to replace it with and just click on it. So we're going to click on that. Looks like we still have one. Oh, and commitment. So we're going to click on that one. Okay, now for grammar. Okay, so enjoy, we want to change that to enjoy. And I have has, we want to change that to. Okay, it says you've finished reviewing. Okay. Correct errors where necessary. Ignore the resume suggestion for the working. And I did not get, I'm not seeing that on here. So in terms of 11A, you may or may not have to do that. Yeah, proper nouns, didn't see any of those, and we closed the editor. So really all I had to do was correct that spelling and grammar, and it looks like I was A-okay. I guess we'll find out at the end. Okay, so now it wants us to use the thesaurus to find an appropriate synonym for the following words. So it wants us to replace surpass in the personal statement section with exceed. So personal statement, surpass. So we're going to select the word or kind of click in the word in the middle, surpass. And I usually will, I'm looking to see where if there's a thesaurus over there, I will usually right click and go to synonyms here. And it wants us to choose exceed. Okay, so again, I just put my cursor in the middle of the word, right clicked, which is your best buddy, chose synonyms, and then here's the word exceed. And then it automatically replaces that for you. That's the way I do it, and it looks to grade it correctly. Replace emotions in the why am I a real estate section. Emotions right here, so I'm going to click in the middle of that word. And then I'm going to right click, choose synonyms, and then it wants us to change it to sentiments, which is the second word choice. Okay, conscious of the sentiments involved in both the buying and the selling. Okay, and that should be all you need to do. Okay, so now we're going to do search to research selected words. I don't have search, and it says right here that you may not have it. It's been removed from most versions of Office. If the search feature is not available on your version, skip this step. So I think you're perfectly fine to skip step 13. I could not find search anywhere on here, so I think really you're good. You're all right. You don't have to do that. So what this I think does is enables you to go out to the internet or something, so you don't need to do that. So we're going to skip right to step 14, and it says use the read aloud feature to read the first 2 body paragraphs. Okay, so here, I think I had to, dictate voice. I had to look for this a little bit. Review tab, it tells me right away. It's on the review tab, which is up here. So I'm going to go to the review tab and read aloud right here. So you want to highlight the first 2 body paragraphs. First 2 body paragraphs. So I guess it's this right here. And it wants you to choose read aloud.
I am dedicated to listening to your needs as a buyer or seller and providing you with prompt and excellent service to exceed your expectations.
Mindset.
Why I am a real estate agent. I enjoy working with people and negotiating on their behalf. Communication, organization,
Just
and
wants you to
availability
know
are
that
skills
this
I possess that
feature
make
is
me a
there.
client-focused
So
real
I
estate
would let
agent.
it play for the
I am
first two
extremely
bottom
conscientious of the
paragraphs.
sentiments
I
involved
don't
in
know
both
how
the
the
buying and
clicking
selling
works on
process.
this, but
Customer service and satisfaction are important
at
to
any
me,
rate,
and I pride myself in giving you the best service possible.
there you go. And it'll be done. Okay, so check that off. And now it says add the following document properties. Properties are on the File tab. So you can click here on the File tab in the upper left and then go to Info right here. It's like the Home, New, Open, and then Info. And then you're going to come over here to Properties. And this looks like you can't really type much in there, but you really can. So the title is, and if you don't see what you need, which title's right there, the title is Brochure. And you really want to watch your spelling here and your capitalization because the grading will catch it. If you have brochure without an E, you're going to get checked wrong on that. Okay, and then the company, which if you don't see company, you need to go down here and do show all properties. And then it is in here somewhere. Company right here kind of in the middle. So you just click on the text that's over here and it'll open up a space for you. So this is Placer Hills. And again, you want to really watch your spelling here. This isn't a typing class necessarily, but you've got to get this right. And then the author, it just says add an author, is going to be Emma, Cavallli. If there's an existing person, it just says to remove them. So Emma Cavalli should be right. Okay, so now we can save and close. So I'm just going to go up over here and click save. Okay, and then it should be saved in my downloads. Okay, so I'm just going to go up here and one more time just to make sure I'm going to save. Okay, so I'm going to X this out. I'm going to close out of it. There we go. I didn't get any warning or anything. And now we're going to go back. This is how I get to SimNet, so it's fine. Oh, I got to bring it back over so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is upload my file and we're going to see how I did. So when you're ready, which again, you've already done this for the guided, so you should be fine. Make sure you're going to wherever you saved your document. So here is mine. I left it in my downloads. Downloads is a library, just like desktop or anything. It'll keep things in there. And I'm going to open. And so it's going to upload it. So here's where you can say, no, I'm not ready to submit it for grading. I'm still working on it. I want to check it one more time, yada, yada, yada. Or you can say, yes, submit the file for grading. So knock on wood, we're going to see how I did. Preparing result. It should take just a few seconds. 100%. Woo! So here we are. So you can see I have no notations on my little simulation here and everything's good. And that is how you do it. If you have any questions, seriously, please call me. I do not mind. I can talk you through things fairly quickly, fairly easily. If we need to do a Google Meet, I can jump on. So I would much prefer a phone call than an email so that we don't have to go back and forth with lots of information. Please, please, please use my number. I do not mind. Okay, so have fun with this and good luck. Alrighty, bye.